What's going on out there, the digital world? Welcome back to another episode of the Web Buzz Podcast. As always, I'm your host, joined by, he's a little older, he's a little fresher, but the Google master himself, Mr. Roger Valdez. What's up, Roger? How you doing?
What's going on, man? What's going on? Yeah, feeling one more year passed. But you know what? I'm feeling good, man. I'm feeling really good. And I'm gonna take this opportunity to say, hey, happy birthday to you too. I mean, we just in the past couple of weeks, you and I just took one more step in life, right? The next chapter in life.
We did. We
one more year.
Turned a page over, I guess the saying goes. And it is weird to be back because we did take 2 weeks off. If you guys are tuning in live or if you watch this later on there, you probably noticed for the last couple of weeks we haven't had any new episodes going on. And it's because at the end of the day, we wanted to give Roger some time off for his birthday. I took a little time down on my birthday. It was just weird. The podcast happened to land on his birthday and on my birthday as well on it. So it's good to be back. I'm excited. I'm glad you and I were able to turn that leaf over and celebrate, but now it's back to the grind. Right now, it's back to doing what we do. So
that's right, man, and we're ready, man. It's after a little bit of a vacation off of the podcast. Now, I know we have a good one today, and we're just ready to go, man.
Absolutely. So if you guys are out there joining us live, do us a favor, tell us hi in the comments, give us a quick little thumbs up, a heart, something. Just let us know that you're here. I'm excited for today because we are going to be diving into a topic that I know from our clients. This seems to be a trend. We've been hearing more and more from our clients around it. We've been encouraging our clients to use this piece a little bit more. And we're going to dive into what that is, but more importantly, why. Why is that important? Why is this something that small businesses need to be considering, especially in 2021, right? On there. So in case you're wondering what the heck we're talking about the good old fashioned YouTube. And I get it. A couple people right now probably just went, oh man, I don't want to be on no video or something like that. But real quick, just I guess sum it up a little bit, Roger. What's your thoughts on YouTube first off, before we even get into the whys and all the other stuff?
Yeah, man, absolutely. Well, number one, I'll if you don't know already, YouTube is owned by Google, so that should just be on the top of your list, right? It's like that you should kind of look at that, take a step back, and be like, okay, if I'm trying to kind of get my word out there, amplify my brand, get some people to notice me. Obviously, everybody always talks about Google, trying to rank on Google and get searches. And we talk about a lot of that because we are essentially an SEO agency, web development agency. So we hear about that. So if you already know Google's or YouTube's owned by Google, it should be your next item on your list on what do I need to tackle for my marketing. So with that, I mean, it is extremely important for your marketing. We're going to get into some details here, but the first thing that I want to kind of start with is just know YouTube is owned by Google, and then we'll take it from there, Sean. We'll just keep building on this.
Yeah, I mean, that in itself, I mean, just the fact that, because when did that, do you even remember when that acquisition happened? When Google bought?
I actually don't, but you know what? We can always Google it.
We could always Google it. But I was just thinking when you said that, like just the thought that Google went to the level of acquiring YouTube. Because I know when YouTube first started, it wasn't initially owned by Google. But the fact that they went and acquired it, that says a lot in itself. And I know YouTube's gone through a ton of changes. The platform has changed. The way that content creators and businesses use the platform is changing. I think it's still going to evolve even more on it. But a couple stats. I want to go over a few stats first, and then we can start diving into some of the nitty gritties. So if you're not already sold on the YouTube side of things here, and why as a business It's worth having a channel. It's worth using the platform for certain elements on it. I want you to consider this. There's a stat out there that says that by 2025, which is only 4 years out, not even 4 years, 3.75 of a year away now, that half of viewers, half of individuals, basically under the age of 32. So think about everybody that's going to be 32 or younger in about 3.75 of a year. Half of them will not be subscribed to any kind of paid TV platform. No cable, no paid Netflix, none of these type of things. 6 out of 10 people today already say that they prefer online video over live television, live TV. 6 out of 10 people already say they would much rather go to an online video of some sort versus sitting down and watching the live television. And then the final one I want to throw out here is, and this is the big one, I think, 65% of people out there are visual learners. Yes, there's other forms of learning, right? Some like to read, some like to get hands-on and do, but 65% of people are visual. I know for me, I fall into that category. I want to learn how to do something. I immediately jump to YouTube. I jump to Google to research what's the best thing for it or get the knowledge and the information. But if I want to learn how to do something, how to cook a meal, how to better build something, how to do XYZ, and there's a YouTube video on it, I'm going to go watch the YouTube video versus read a lengthy website page or read some PDF or something like that. And that's 65% of people, visual learners. I think that's the big one that businesses need to consider in this space. So thoughts on those?
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the things that we shouldn't leave out as well, I mean, these stats are awesome, right, for businesses to make decisions, data-based decisions, right, data-driven decisions, to see where their marketing dollars should go. But one of the things that's awesome about everything that's happening is that there's different types of people. I know the trend is heading towards video. That's 100% where the stats are kind of showing. But there are some people that still consume information by reading, right? They enjoy reading a piece of content, a good piece of content. What is interesting is that both types of people are going to the internet, right? So keep that in mind as you kind of blend your content and your video media type marketing, and you can actually blend them. We'll get a little more deep into this, but that's something to keep in mind. You have to be able to have different types of ways to reach your audience. Right now, Sean's just sharing the trend is video, right? There's more and more people actually leaning more towards video because they're more visual learners. And not that they're visual learners, it's a quicker way of consuming information, right? Sometimes we can't stop and read a blog post or read a book, but you know what? We can probably throw on a video and sit there while we're doing something else, maybe exercising, maybe, I don't know, driving, whatever it might be. It's just so much easier because you can hear the person. It's not just audio. You can actually look at them, make a connection too. That's the other thing that's important for businesses to keep in mind when you have a service or a product, right? When you make a human connection. One of the things I'm actually currently reading a book, and it just sparked something for me. It's a customer service book, how to improve and deliver, world-class customer service. And, we all get stuck on talking about business to business or business to, companies like the B2C. But in reality, at the end of the day, it comes down to one thing. And the reality is P2P, people to people, regardless of what the sides are talking about. So video makes that possible for you. So regardless of how big you are, how small you are, those videos can help you make that connection with your client, your ideal client.
So, I mean, outside of the obvious, there's this other stat. I wrote it down. I hadn't said it just yet, but it's something close to 1 billion people a month globally visit YouTube. Imagine that for a second. Like, what if we had 1 billion people around the world going to our website, right? That's YouTube right now. Their website, in a sense, youtube.com, gets 1 billion people globally. So outside of this obvious, the audience is there, right? You as a business, you want to reach your audience. I'm pretty sure in that billion or so eyeballs hitting YouTube every single month, your audience is floating around in there. Outside of that obvious one, though, what would you say? Like, why? I'm toying with trying to figure out my next marketing move. Got a decent website, maybe I'm working with Top Results. Got a good site in place. Teams doing their part on it. Why do I want to kind of get out of my comfort zone, so to say, and get in front of the camera and leverage this tool?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's a number of things. 'Cause one of the things that you have to ask yourself before you kind of get started, what's the goal? What's the goal of the video, right? At the end of the day, like anything else, where you're going to pursue and actually put maybe marketing dollars behind it or effort, right? Time's very important. You got to first make a decision on, if I'm going to do video, what's the goal, right? Because it's a broad question, and every business is going to be different, but I'll give you a couple examples of what you should be looking for, because there's a lot of benefit that you can get from video, right? So number one, when you look at video, yes, we know your ideal client is floating in there somewhere, right? But you got to take action. So for example, if your goal is to you're a brand new brand, company, and you want to build that reputation, video is going to help you increase your authority in your industry, because you're able to get creative and answer a lot of questions, right? If you start a YouTube channel and you just start kind of short little videos answering every question you can think of in your industry, then eventually people are going to start jumping on Google, or I'm sorry, on YouTube, kind of like what Sean said. Every time he has a question or something like that, he'll go on YouTube, kind of try to look at it, because he's a visual learner. They'll start finding you, and the more and more they find you, the more and more they look at it, is like, wow, Roger just seems to be all over the place here on YouTube. He must know what he's talking about. At that point, someone looked at me as an authority in my industry, and they might be and kind of enticed to even research me even more, eventually getting to my website and potentially converting into a future client. So that's kind of one point there.
It's funny you say that, because as soon as you just said that there, I was like, in my head, I'm imagining a Google search, right? And we talk about the sweet spot, number one, number two, number three, right? The golden three.
Right.
The problem is, let's say you and the team, you guys are doing the right thing for me. I'm a client, and you're getting me ranked. You're getting a lot of my blogs ranked. You're getting a lot of my searchable content out there ranked on Google. The problem is, there's nothing visual that kind of builds credibility instantly. What do I mean by that? Your comment on YouTube, if I'm searching like crazy on there and I keep seeing this thumbnail of an image with Roger on it and this branding and Top Results, and it's just constantly showing up and constantly showing up and constantly showing up without me even watching your videos, right? You just happen to show up in the different searches that I'm doing. In my head, I'm already like, man, who the heck is this Roger dude? Or who the heck is this guy in a black t-shirt with Top Results that I keep seeing everywhere? And as I say this, I know a handful of these individuals that are literally in every search that I do, their videos show up in there. I know in our space, Neil Patel is that one, right? Neil is every freaking where in there. I don't
Absolutely.
watch his videos, but man, is he everywhere in there. And I think that's a huge piece, because subconsciously you're building credibility for yourself, even if they don't watch the video, just because of that correlation of image, branding, seeing it in the rankings versus Google. It's just words, right? Yes, there's a URL, but how many people actually pay attention to the URL until they start clicking on it enough times and realize they keep going to the same website? Man, it's the same site. I'm realizing I'm on the same site kind of piece. So just an aha I just had right there.
Yeah, and it goes back to, I mean, there's no rocket science here, right? It's like the formula that we always look at when you're kind of building your brand is know, like, and trust. That's the simplest way to break it down. And with what you just said there, Sean, is perfect, right? It's like, maybe they don't watch your videos. Maybe you have a ton of videos out there, but people are not watching, but they continuously see your thumbnail as they're scrolling for certain questions. Well, you know what? You just kind of nailed down the no. Now they know who you are, right? Now they kind of recognize who you are. Eventually, they're going to come across something that one of your titles kind of caught their attention. They'll click it. They'll start watching your video. Hopefully that's a good video, right? Because then they'll entice them to look at another video, watch another video. Eventually, you're getting into the like fact. I like this person. They know what they're talking about. If they get to your website, maybe get on a phone call with you, maybe do some business with you. Now they're building that trust factor, right? So they're trying to kind of like, this guy knows what he's doing. He's done some work for me. And then you're getting into the ultimate point, like the raving fan. So if you can get them through that funnel, that's where you want to be, right? But it starts from the beginning. So video gives you that opportunity to kind of get people to know you as well.
I'm going to throw this out, and then I got another question here for you on this. But I think we've talked about this before on past podcasts. I think it was early on in the WebBuzz series when we kicked this show off. We talked about interlinking. This is a big SEO piece, right? Making sure that your site is interlinked amongst itself. This is another piece of YouTube that I know is very powerful. And that's the fact that when you've got multiple videos, especially multiple videos around a very similar topic, or maybe kind of moves the person through this topic piece, the ability of saying, hey, if you got value, from this type of video, check this one out and this one out. And you've got the tools are there, right? To be able to kind of move the person down the track. Something we just talked about actually with our clients on Monday night was this whole pass the baton, right? And I know from a blog side and a website side, we can do the exact same thing base of a blog, check this one out, that kind of thing. But I think that's another big element that people need to look at is it's not really just about one, right? It's the ability to really kind of, in a sense, dictate when they land on a video or find a video, what's the next move for them and guide them into that next piece. And it's bringing that humanization element because they're seeing me and you on video. They're getting to know who we are a little bit, right? Obviously they haven't met us in person necessarily, but they feel like they have, because as long as we're being real, right, in our videos, we're not faking something like that. But yeah, that was something that came out. So question that I have, how does YouTube help me rank better on Google?
Yeah, that's actually a great question. So before we jump into it, I want to throw a fun fact in here. So Google acquired YouTube November 13th, 2006. So for everybody out there, I was wondering when we first asked that.
You went and looked it up.
That's basically, yeah, I did. I couldn't remember exactly, but that's, wow, I can't remember. I can't believe it's been that long, but that's when they acquired. Wow. 2006. It's been a while.
Like YouTube was just getting going at that time.
Oh man, they took off fast. But we digress, right? Let's get back to your question. So how does YouTube videos in particular, right? There's a lot of platforms out there which are great as well, but we're going to use YouTube as an example. I don't want you guys to think that's the only game, right, in the industry, but it is the biggest and is the most powerful. Why? Because one, let's talk about the authority of YouTube. The authority of YouTube is massive, right? There's a lot of trust. And the other thing, it's owned by Google, which is where we want to rank, right? So it's an obvious asset. We call it an asset because it's a supporting factor for your brand. So it's a very important asset. So number one, just having a channel that is related to your brand and possibly interlinked, right? Maybe you have those little icons on your website that link over to your YouTube channel. That's number one. You kind of connect them. So you're building that matrix, right? So already you're associating your website with a YouTube channel. So now you're associating yourself with a very authoritative asset that's out there. So Google loves that, right? Boom. That's number one. But number two is probably more important. Hey, if there's crickets in your channel, then yeah, you connected it. Google probably raised a little bit of an eyebrow. But at the end of the day, if there's no action, there's no value, then it becomes kind of silent and doesn't help you at all. So your next step is, okay, and I have that channel. What do I do? Well, what I would recommend, if you have no idea where to start with that, answering some questions that your clients might have and creating short little videos for that. Now, each video, let's talk about one question that you create, because there's a very important optimization process that you need to go through to try to get the most, basically the most bang out of that video, right? So you record that video, and in that video, you're gonna basically talk about that question, right? Hopefully there's a certain keyword around that question. Obviously, the question is the key word in most cases. You got to want to mention that a couple times in the video, obviously, when you're talking about it. So then the verbiage in the video is talking about that keyword that you're trying to rank for. The title is very important. The title of the video, make sure that the question is very clear and that keyword is in that title, right? And then if you're a local business, you can actually localize that video. So you can actually geotag it in YouTube. They allow you to do that. So if you're in if you're in Chatsworth, California, you have the ability to actually put it on there, and Google looks at that as like, oh wow, this company, your website's, all the information on your website's talking about that you're in Chatsworth, California, and then your YouTube channels are all tagged like that. You are a local company that's putting out some value. All right. And then the other thing that's very important is the description. So don't go cheap on the description. They give you, can't remember how many characters they give you on that description, but you want to maximize that as much as possible. You want to be as descriptive. And that is where you have the biggest opportunity to what Sean was talking about earlier, to start interlinking your other videos. What we like to do is also interlink some of the pages on our website. Example is, if you shot a video on how to do a certain topic for someone in your industry, you might also want to write a blog post that lives on your website, where you can actually interlink the video description and have a link there that links back to your website, to that particular blog post. So that way they can consume more information, because sometimes there's some assets that you want to share, or you know what, at the end of the day, for SEO, you want to get traffic back to the website, right? And so there's a whole nother conversation we can get into on what should be on the website, but today is for YouTube. So I'm just kind of going to go ahead and focus on YouTube. So that description has to be very, very optimized, keywords in it, a link back, and then hopefully you can also interlink some other videos that you have that may be step 2 or 3 or 4 of that particular question that they have. So we'll kind of stop there, because that's kind of a mouthful in regards to how to optimize an actual video and how to get some backlinks off of it and some power for your SEO.
So I think it's, by the way, I think it's close to like 5,000 characters or something like that in the description. So if anybody's out there writing 5,000 characters, actually I've seen it. Another thing to use in that description is a great place, depending on your industry, depending on your business, right? I'm thinking like Deanna and I, we've been dabbling and playing around with that, Sierra Life, been creating a couple videos, putting them up on the YouTube channel. And there's been a couple things that we've done where it was like, man, if we were an Amazon affiliate, it would have been great to link a bunch of the products that we used in the video to that Amazon affiliate store. So again, when I hear you talk about it, the similarities are the same, right? There's a big similarity between the way you optimize and use YouTube for the ranking side to help you both in YouTube and over on the Google end of things, compared to the way that you would want to optimize some piece of written content on a website to help rank, right? And to help grow. The big difference is, one is visual, video wise, a little more. Now there is a downfall to that, a little more time commitment. Person actually has to sit and watch. So something else I would take note on is the video shouldn't just be as long as you want it to be. It needs to be basically as long as it needs to be to convey whatever information you're trying to convey on there. What do I mean by that? Don't have a 60-minute video on something that you could have answered the question in 2 minutes on, kind of thing. Now, the other side of this, though, I want to throw out and ask you is, we talk about this with our clients a lot. We encourage them, put the video to YouTube so that we can then take that and embed that and use that embed in different areas of the website. What's the value there? Why, if somebody's looking at enhancing their website, what's the value of putting something on YouTube and embedding it over onto the site?
Yeah, absolutely. So that actually has a lot of value. There's a couple different directions there. I'll start with just let's you create a how-to video. There's a lot of people out there creating content on their websites, and they're not comfortable on camera or creating video. They will take that piece, that video embed code, and actually embed it on their website, which is awesome for you because it introduces you to a whole new audience. So you open that door up. So that's kind of like one of the steps there. The other one is where you take an embed code and actually embed it on your website, which is that is should be a standard practice if you're actually creating a blog post on your website that's talking about the same thing, right? That correlate together. And the reason there's a benefit for that is because one of the SEO kind of like boxes that we check that we want, and we know it's a ranking factor based on what the research that's out there for SEO on Google is that time on page, right? How long can you keep someone on a page? And it is tremendous if you can create some kind of asset on the website, some kind of value that someone's willing to stay on your website longer and potentially even start going from page to page. So not that you have to have a video on every single page, but where it's appropriate and you can explain further, you can deliver that message a lot more clear through video. Definitely do it because it keeps someone longer, which starts giving you a little more, another box that you check for SEO and a couple more clicks on your ranking. So that's one of the biggest factors right there, Sean.
Gotcha. So anything else you got on this before I got a couple things in my mind, but I didn't want to get away from what you had planned there.
No, I think it was we wanted to kind of keep it kind of nice and tight in regards, but I mean, if I missed this part, I think we kind of nailed it. But video, I mean, like I said, there is an opportunity when you create it and you follow all the steps in regard to what you can control, right? Video gives you a lot of control. You create the video, you can do the title, description, then you can embed it on your website. What happens is I mentioned that someone else can take that video, embed it on their website. So one of another big ranking factor on Google, and take this like a grain of salt, right? Because this can go either way. There's a lot of debate out there, but it's backlinks. So if you have that video and people are actually adding it to their website or they're sharing it on social media, Facebook or any other social media platforms, basically saying, "Hey, you might want to watch this video, right? Because it has a lot of good information." Those are what we call social mentions and backlinks, and those are looked at kind of like votes for your brand. So the more of those legit, right? The more of those authentic kind of votes that you get, the more authority you start gaining with these search engines like Google, and the better your rankings go up. Because these search engines like Google, they want to deliver quality information to their searchers. Because if they continue to deliver bad information, no one's going to use that platform, right? So that's why it's important for you to build those assets that will help you build that authority and essentially help you kind of go up in those rankings.
You started to go down the path. I thought you were literally going to take my own thought right out of my head on here when you started talking about you create it, right? And I think to summarize today, and then we can kind of wrap up from here. What entices me, or what I like to look at YouTube as, not every, especially the clients we work with, not every business out there has budgets, marketing budgets, where they can afford, very formal advertising, TV ads, radio ads, these type of, commercial style ads. YouTube, in a sense, is kind of given, it almost kind of has even the playing field. Yeah, there's ads on YouTube, right? You pay to get your ad in front of certain demographics, no different than Google, Facebook, all of that other stuff. But even just thinking like, if I used the platform as a business, as a way to create my own commercial style or promotional style videos, put them up on there, use those into places like my website or some of my other marketing elements. Why I say it's evening the playing field a little bit here is with that many users out there and with people so commonly accepting of just clicking a YouTube link, or clicking a link to watch something, whether that be in an email signature, a social post, right? Comments, direct message, something like that that's out there, a place on a website. You're kind of getting the, the best of both worlds. You're saving some money by self-producing and putting this thing together, but you're still able to use some of that creativity or have somebody help with this, come up with some creative kind of commercial ideas and have those out there. So that was the one thing I wanted to kind of end on is if you don't do it for any of the other reasons, obviously the SEO reason is a really big one. The trends just show that more and more people are going to get away from cable TV, live TV, this type of stuff, and they're going to be on these platforms. I think it's already safe to say that a lot of people use or are comfortable with going to YouTube to watch something. Now, there's a lot of nuances, right? There's the hook at the beginning. How long do you really have? Or we could have gone down a whole other track as to what exactly does your video need to have? How do you retain people? These are the different pieces. But I think for today's episode, it was more about opening everybody's eyes to the power that YouTube brings and why it should be a element. It's up to you now to decide how big of an element is this in my marketing plan or my marketing attack for the business.
Yeah, absolutely, man. So, yeah, with what you just said right there, I mean, one of the things that you have to keep in mind as well with these video platforms like YouTube, super popular, right? Super popular. There's a lot of stuff on there. A lot of people that they hold themselves back from doing it. Sometimes it's like there's too much competition out there. On Google, there is some competition, right? There's a lot of people on there. It takes some effort. But on YouTube, you got to think about it. Not everybody's comfortable at this point. Maybe they will in the future, in the years to come, right? But at this point, there's still a lot of people that are not comfortable in front of the camera. So I look at YouTube kind of like our Wild West of the digital space, because there's still a lot of open space, a lot of opportunity. So what I would recommend for you guys to do is go research your industry, right? On YouTube. Forget about Google for a little bit. Go research your industry on YouTube. Write some keywords, whatever your industry might be, whatever you think you want to, maybe the question that you have, and see the results. And even if you get results, in most cases you will, look at the results and look at the quality. Are they answering the question correctly? Is there a different way you can approach it? You know what I mean? So you can actually go in there and get some ideas from the current information that's there. Because in some cases, that information that's there is 100% out of date. That's what I see over and over in many industries. There's a lot of videos up there, but they're from 2006, something like that. So it's so super old, where you have an opportunity to come in and put some fresh content out there, something updated and something that's relatable to your particular company too, and make you a little unique. Set yourself a little apart from everybody else. And the last thing that I have here, Sean, is YouTube videos rank on Google. So even though you're creating everything on YouTube and you're creating good, valuable stuff, and that effort that you're creating, follow every step that we talked about, the interlink and all of that. When that channel gets the authority, there's an opportunity in some cases, not every time, but in some cases, Google will take those YouTube videos and rank them on Google. So you get to kind of take up some of that real estate space right in that search result page for those keywords.
I'd actually challenge it a little bit here and say on YouTube, even though competition number of people is up there, I think competition's actually low. And it's simply because you and I are completely different than somebody else in the exact same industry, right? Our outlook, who we are, our personality, the way we like to deliver information, the knowledge that we have may not even be the same. We might have a little bit more in a certain space than somebody else. Our expertise, just what we're used to marketing around or doing or performing versus somebody else. So I think everybody's still unique, like their own unique little flower in a sense, even though there's a lot of individuals using the platform already. So it's a way for you to still stand out from the crowd. Again, it goes back to that personalization, the humanization end of things that a blog article can't bring in all the time, right? It takes good copywriting to bring a personality through in words, whereas video, and it's just you being you in front of that camera, and somebody's going to resonate, with that. So.
Yeah, man, that actually kind of brings up. I know I said that was the last one, but man, you keep bringing up some things that is like, hey. So here, this will be, I promise. But one of the things that kind of brought me when you said that in regards to resonating with that particular video or person that's talking on there, take yourself back to school, right? It just brought me back. It's like when you go to college or whatever, right? So whatever it might be, YouTube is kind of like taking a kind of a course or a teacher for a test drive or a test lesson. You get to kind of see what they ask, what they, the type of value they produce, right? What can you learn? Do you associate with that person? And then you can kind of make that next move to try to kind of research them a little more. So YouTube just gives you a lot of space to get in there and actually reach that ideal avatar, right? Because you'll put it out there. You're not going to relate to everybody. Like Sean said, me and Sean are unique. There's many other agencies out there that do the same thing. We just happen to deliver the information a little differently. Our personalities are a little different. So we associate or we connect with a certain type of person, right? And those people look us up. They find us on YouTube, they find us on Google, whatever it might be. They get on a call with us and they're like, man, I want to work with that. So if you think about it, back in school, you probably didn't pass every class unless, it's like, you're my wife and, it's very smart. I did it. I went through a couple classes a couple times. And when it came down to, it was a certain teacher that got to be able to deliver that information to me a little more clear, right? So YouTube just puts that out there, and be that teacher. You got to be that educator, put yourself out there, put that value, and you will start getting some connection with people that associate with you directly.
Absolutely. And as you said that, Lorraine, who happens to be one of our clients, she wrote that comment in that representation matters when it comes to video. People like to see others that they relate to, which is exactly what you just said. I want to take the teacher for a test drive and see if I can get along with the teacher before I take her or his class. So as always, it was fun hanging out today, dropping some more gold bars, talking about some stuff. I'm glad we're back on the horse. I'm glad we're back in the swing of things with the Web Buzz podcast. I look forward to bringing some other stuff next week to everybody. So anything you want to leave them with before we sign her off?
Just take action, get out there, do some stuff, whatever it is, take that first step. And that's probably the hardest step. But once you get going, get into a routine and start dropping some gold bars of your own out there.
Absolutely. And I know Roger and I understand it. We get it. It sometimes is a little difficult or frustrating or annoying for small businesses out there that are trying to generate leads online and they just can't quite figure it out. Like they just don't understand enough of it. It's not their expertise. So I'm going to remind you guys, we do have a wonderful 7-step process mini training that'll take you guys step by step through the exact 7 steps that you need to do to kind of cut that learning curve down to start getting leads online. Just head over to topresultsconsulting.com/7 steps. You'll be able to access that free mini training. We broke it down pretty well. It's very short little clips, straight to the point. Here's step 1, do this, then move yourself over. You get through those 7 steps, I promise you, you and your business will be looking a little bit different at the end of all of it. So as we say every single week, we'll see you guys next week. And as always, here's to your success.